are today here in Bari with us. They are coming from all over Europe, and I'm very glad that they are here enjoying and sharing with us this beautiful experience. It's been a long journey, very long, 2 years. We have developed four different curricula, and we have developed a new professionalism that is the renal expert in renal pathology, in ultrasound, in vascular access and PD techniques. For me, it's been a big pleasure as a coordinator, but normally the coordinator by himself doesn't do anything if there are not the right, collaborators. So all the partners were doing very well. And I should say also thank to Antonio Giusto, because we built, this project thanks to his effort. So thank you, Antonio. I would like also to thank the two small and medium enterprises that help us in developing new simulators. So there is, in front of me, EMAC, thank you for coming, and Eureka, that were, useful in developing the learning platform and to the development of the simulators. And finally, but not least, is the two society. We had on board two different society. The first one was the ERA, that is represented today by Federica from the Parma's office, and the VAS, the Vascular Access Society, that is represented by Professor Ibers, that is a partner of the project, but was very, the key player in the Vascular Access Society. And I'm also grateful because we have also another guest here with us today, that is Ugo Dinitz. Ugo Dinitz belongs to the steering committee of the Young Nephrology platform. So he's involved in the interventional nephrology, and I'm sure that he will spread our experience inside of the platform. For sure, Ugo will report his feeling later on. So you saw the program. I will start with my lecture, giving you a touch on what I think where we are going. And I will, focus on nephrology, but since I know that there are many young people in the room, this model applied to all the fields. Can be applied to nephrology, to medicine, but can be applied to biology, to biotechnology, because it's a format that works. We needed to apply theory, but we needed also to have, frontal lecture. But the most important in learning is doing. You learn by doing. This is our life, and the academic should work in this direction. Now, if I can have, my first presentation, the slides, and are already in. So I will introduce the education in nephrology. Where are we going? And after, we will have a roundtable regarding the international cooperation in nephrology. All the partners will give, their thoughts. And after, we will have the small and medium enterprises that will give us the technological touch. So we will have Valentina and Marta that will present NPAT digital simulation. We will break. We will have a coffee break around 11:30. And after, there will be a resident that attended the NPAT project, Fausta. Where is Fausta? Is Fausta in? Yes, Fausta is in. That, we report her experience, how she, was performing inside of the NPAT. And Antonio will finish with innovation technology transfer in education. And at the end, we will have also a business initiative to see what is next. Because yes, we are finalizing the NPAT project today, but it should be, today should be a restarting. So we are restarting from today. So we needed to spread this experience, and I hope that this experience will spread in Europe, but will spread also worldwide. So going to my presentation, education in nephrology, where are we going? I would like, to start with the history. So, because, the basic foundation of nephrology and dialysis goes back many centuries. As early as 100 AD, the citizens of Rome were using their steaming hot baths to sweat out the toxins when urea become building up in their bodies. But the real research in removing extra fluid and toxin from the body, however, may have begun with Richard Bright. Richard Bright was the father of nephrology, and he was appointed by the Queen Victoria of England as a physician extraordinary. He had vision. He had vision. So Bright conducted early research in the nephrology field in the 19th century. But the words of dialysis was coined by Thomas Graham. But the first artificial kidney for animals was developed by John Abel. But Kolff was the first nephrology that started dialysis in human. So he was the father of dialysis. He was using dialysis not to clear, the plasma, but he was thinking to clear phenol and indole from the gut, because he was realizing that the gut was producing uremic toxin, such as indole and phenols. But something happened in the 60s. I was a young child. I was 8 years old when my father, unfortunately, became a renal patient. And he had to start dialysis in 1968. That time was not easy, because in the early 60s, funding for dialysis patients were limited. Patients had to pay for treatments out of their own pockets or organize fundraising campaign, because there were not enough funds. In addition, there was limited access to dialysis machines. There were no dialysis worldwide. The first dialysis started in the States, actually. The dilemma of deciding who should receive treatment brought to the fore the problem of choosing a patient. An anonymous lay committee, or life and death committee, was established to decide which patients were worthy of treatment. The patient candidates were judged on their moral value, their position in the community, and their likelihood of continuing existence. Unfortunately, there were more renal patients that could be cared for. Terrible period. And I was a child, and I remember, we were lucky because my father had a brother that was a priest. And in this region, dialysis started in 68 and in a priest institution that was called Mulli, where Carlo Lomonte is now working. And there was, I remember, as was, today, there was, a wonderful, doctor and nephrologist at that time took care of my father. But at that time in the 60s, there was also the introduction of renal biopsy into nephrology. This was starting more, in the 60s. but the techniques was developing from the 90 to the 96. So that this was the paradigm of forming nephrology by technology. You don't know, you are very young, you don't know this guy. He's Professor Stuart Cameron. He passed away a few weeks ago, and he was a pioneer. He had vision. I was lucky because I met him, and you can trust me, he was a visionary. Was a visionary because he wrote this, paragraph reporting that the performance and interpretation of renal biopsies become, along with classical whole organ and nephron physiology, and the introduction of dialysis and transplantation, powerful agent determining the emergence of nephrology as a specialty around the 1960. So nephrology was born in the 60s, when I was born. I was born in the 60s, You were, I don't know where, because you are very young. Doesn't go on. So nephrology in the 60s, 70s became the queen of medicine. Why? So if you see, this is a courtesy by Dr. Carlo Lomonte. Thank you very much. This is what the dialysis where my father was dialyzing in the 60s. Dialysis were rare and highly innovative. The duration of dialysis was very long. 12 hours. Two rounds per week. With 8 kills, artificial kidneys. This is the artificial kidney. So think about the filter. Today the filter is 30 centimeter, 20 centimeter. Was very big, 1 meter. And you were cutting cellulose, washing cellulose in formaldehyde, aldehyde. Was something unbelievable. Look at the blood, was passing through the kidney. And in the 70s and the 80s, the nephrology was a specialty with a young dialysis population. Low technology cost. I was assembling the kidney, cutting the cellulose. So the kidney was assembled by doctor and nurses before each dialysis. And the management and the administrative bodies placed at that time dialysis at the center of their attention. So nephrology became the queen of medicine. So I like this, sentence, queen of medicine. Why? Because the first nephrological wards were born, renal physiology pathology labs for the study of hydroelectrolytes and acid-base disturbances were created. We were doing, I remember, do you remember, Carlo, il fotometro a fiamma? So, and started the field of renal pathology and the use of immunofluorescence to study the renal pathology. The nephrologist at that time became a superheroes like Timur, you know Timur. But today, what happened? That was in the 60s, in the 70s. Now we are living 2023. What is the situation worldwide? So renal diseases were increasing. We have now 850 million people worldwide affected by renal diseases. More than diabetes mellitus, than diabetes, more than cancer. But everybody talks regarding diabetes, everybody talks regarding cancer, nobody takes care regarding CKD. Why? Maybe we needed to do more marketing. Because look at what is happening. These were in the 2016, the cause of death in the world. Chronic kidney disease was placed on the 16th position. But look at what will happen in the 2040. In the 2040, that for CKD will jump and will arrive to the 5th position. So we needed to report to the general population what is happening. And unfortunately, out of 850 million of patients affected by CKD, as a nephrologist, we know only 10%. 85 million, not 850 million, are known. Why? They are people that are already on dialysis, are people that are in renal transplantation, and are people with the late stage of CKD. But we needed early diagnosis. And so the chronic kidney disease is now a social problem that involves not only nephrologists, but also general practitioners and numerous categories of specialties. It's a progressive disease, often linked to risk factors such as diabetes and hypertension, which in the late stage, as you know, require dialysis or renal transplantation. Early diagnosis, it's important because early diagnosis means that we start an early treatment. But now, a new syndrome is burning. A new nephrologic syndrome is called acute fellowship insufficiency. And this is why we are here today. We are here today because if you see in the world, and if we see the situation in the States, but I will show you also the situation in Italy, as you can see, 51% of programs and 32% of position in nephrology residency are going unfilled. People don't choose nephrology, but nephrology will become attractive in the future, will become sexy. Why? 850 million affected by this disease. We need a doctor that should treat this patient. And the situation is also very strange also in Italy, because as you see, I have reported what happened in the 2020-2021 regarding the National Resident Matching Program in nephrology in Italy. 21.4% of the position were going unfilled. So 120 unfilled position. So people don't choose nephrology. Why? Well, the global shortage of nephrologists is failing to meet the growing healthcare burden of kidney disease. There are some countries that are more lucky than the other countries. So, Dimitris, you are lucky as Italy, because in Italy and Greece, the number of nephrologists per million of population is very high, 53, 51. But if we go to see Canada, UK, USA, there is a huge, huge shortage. So we needed to think about it. So there will be calls for these, doctors. So nephrology is becoming an shortage specialties. So let's ask, why is nephrology not attractive? Well, I prefer to say, why is nephrology not sexy? Why? Well, global expert groups predict reduction in the nephrology workforce over the next decade with potentially serious implications. But what are the reasons why residents don't choose nephrology? Lack of exposure to nephrology among students and residents, declining interest in nephrology among trainees, inadequate training, erosion of nephrology practice scope by other specialties. So what should be the strategies? We must ensure that those who complete training are highly skilled with expertise that distinguish nephrologists from other specialties and prepared to translate new knowledge into improved outcomes for patients with kidney disease. We needed to push more on interventional nephrology. As you can see in the States, is burning a new section that is called interventional nephrology for vascular access, but we need also to push on renal biopsy, because vascular access is only the surgeon that is doing, the vascular surgeon. The renal biopsy, the radiologist, the PD, the general surgeon. We needed to become again, as in the 60s, protagonists. We needed to become again heroes. And you have to do it. You are the future. We are the past and the present. But you are the future. And we needed also mentors. We need excellence in teaching and mentoring, because these are the most important factors for the satisfaction of the fellows. We need to establish, as we are doing today, collaborative networks to revitalize the joy in the practice of nephrology and convince trainees how exciting is a career in nephrology. Stefania, are you picking up everything that I'm saying? So I'm, seeing Stefania because he's on her first year of residency, but all the people that are in the room, they know what I'm talking about. So we needed to create an interprofessional education. We needed to create, as Carlo Monte is teaching me, a multi-team approach. But the nephrologist should be the pivot. The nephrologist should be in the center. It should collaborate with cardiologists, diabetologists, intensivologists, oncologists. And, my dear Jose, we needed a common curriculum in Europe. So we are here, 8 different universities from Europe. We needed to sit down and to decide what is the curriculum in nephrology. Otherwise, we will disappear. In Italy, the internal medicine is moving forward. The DM70, DM77 is pushing that they want to start to do dialysis, and they don't care anymore regarding nephrologists. So I'm looking at Dimitris, Professor Goumenos. He will be the next secretary of ERA. ERA should spend words in this direction. So don't push, don't remove the interventional nephrology from the nephrology field. That will be a big mistake. That will be a big mistake. Because somebody's saying, the nephrologist doesn't do, he's a medical doctor, doesn't need to do it PD, doesn't do it. So what do we do? Let's change, our job at this point. So it's time for a wake-up call. Svegliamoci. We say in Italian, wake-up call, Dimitris. Svegliamoci. Time to wake up. It's time to wake up and to train the next generation. We needed a new nephrology workforce. We needed to get back the Timur. We needed to get back what is, what we feel for our specialty. The heart should beat. If it doesn't beat, that means that we don't care regarding our specialties. So, may nephrology still be attractive? How to do it? Well, with NPAT, we tried. And there are now 2 minutes of clip that is summarizing for you that you don't know this program. So think regarding this program. This program apply to nephrology field, but can be applied to all the field. Physics, biology, biotechnology. You needed to rethink education in the academic. The academy should rethink how to train students. We needed to follow new trends. Artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, augmented reality, immersive reality, simulation, and navigation. So we started 2 years ago. We started this, actually 3 years ago, Antonio, 3 years ago, because the first year was, we built up the program. The NPAT project. the Nephrology Partnership for Advancing Technology in Healthcare. So, what is NPAT? Is the clinical scope of nephrology is refreshing the clinical scope of nephrology and promoting the nephrology career at the UL level, developing a multidisciplinary educational path with patient-centered approach focusing on interventional nephrology, and fostering the knowledge transfer between the academia and the business sector in order to tackle risk management in healthcare. And here is the NPAT methodology. Is a blended learning, an online learning platform and face-to-face learning. So learning by doing for 2 years, very long. And this is summarized for you what NPAT did in these 2 years. So 8 universities, 2 societies, European societies, 2 small and medium enterprises. So we had, Italy, Spain, Holland, Netherlands, Czech Republic, Greece, Ljubljana, so Slovenia. That's it, 8 universities, and 40 junior nephrologists, age 29, the average age 29, 78 of them female. So nephrology is big for the future. And there were, 4 curricula. We started July 2021 with REMAP, and we went up, with REVAC in 2022, January. In July, we started with REMUSE, that is ultrasound, and we finished this year, starting in January 2023, a PD program. So, a renal pathology program, an ultrasound program, and vascular access program, a PD program. And 53 teachers, many lecture, more than 50 hours of lecture, but most importantly, 130 hours of training on the job, using also chicken and using simulators and cutting edge technology. And we had meet the expert, Francesco, having fun. Also when we were, having, this meeting, and this was, spread all over Europe. We enjoy, staying together, and all the residents were going around in Europe, the EVA meeting, the VAS meeting, the ERA meeting, a beautiful picture and new friendship. And for sure, I think that Fausta will report her feeling regarding friendship, new friends. But most importantly, we were able to meet young generation that were willing to learn. They want to learn, and we needed to push as a teacher. We needed to push ourselves to teach them what they should do in the nephrology field. So they got also some credits, European credits, 29 credits. And the model was knowledge sharing as key for the future of nephrology. So nephrology should become more attractive and again, queen of medicine, I'm sure, if we invest on it. And thank you for coming in Bari. It's been, for me, a pleasure to have collaborated with all of you. So thank you from my heart. And if you like it to see the platform, please go on the website and digit www.empath.eu and enjoy. Thank you again for your attention. Thank you very much. And now we are moving with the next presentation. We will have now a touch from Europe on what has been the experience in the NPAT program. And I would like, to call as the first, speaker, Dr. Ruskova, that is coming from the, who is that? Oh, we have Martin. You show up. I didn't know that you were connected. Sorry. So thank you very much for joining us. So we have Professor Snoys from Maastricht. So he will give his first, perspective on NPAT. Please, Martin, welcome.
Well, thank you. Sorry that I was unable to go to Bari. I had to work in the operating room today. But I would like to share the contribution that we from Maastricht had in the NPAth program. I have a little presentation that I also showed at the Vascular Access Society meeting with some pictures of the courses that we did. I'm a vascular surgeon working in Maastricht, the Netherlands, so I was mostly involved in the REVAC and REPED modules. And maybe I just can share with you a bit about the hands-on course that we had in our unit. I think that my specialty is vascular access for hemodialysis patients. So I'd like to focus mostly on the REVAC course, which is where my heart lies. We had a 6-day course, which was quite extensive, but in the end, we did need all the time to be able to cover the subject very comprehensively and to have enough time for practical skills. So we started the course with a day on central venous catheters, working on ultrasound evaluation of the central veins, ultrasound-guided cannulation, and tunneled central venous catheter insertion. And finally, we had a case discussion on troubleshooting during placement and complications after placement. So this is a bit how we managed to practice the assessment of the veins for catheter placement with the rapid central vein assessment procedure. The participants practicing on each other, working and learning together. Here you can see to the first practice with ultrasound-guided cannulation, which is not only helpful when placing central venous catheters, but also when cannulating the fistula for angioplasties. Day 2, we moved on to the assessment of the patient for vascular access creation, so the pre-operative assessment. Of course, history and physical examination are important there. But most, I think, very important also from a skills-based perspective is the pre-operative mapping of the vessels with ultrasound. So we again practiced on each other, so we could learn together, and had a case discussion after that to present some easy cases, but also some more difficult patients with who were in need of a vascular access. And we were discussing how we would approach this problem and why we would choose for a fistula or a graft or a catheter, and discuss the pros and cons of each option. And finally, we already took a little bit further for the couple of days later to work on the methods for measuring flow with duplex, which is quite a complex procedure with the ultrasound machine. So we did that as well on this day. So here you can see how the vessels were mapped for a pre-operative mapping. And after that day, we went for the creation of the vascular access. So this was a bit of surgery that day. First, we started working on a simple vascular anastomosis by suturing 2 plastic tubes together with a real focus on that, on the technical skills. Next, we went to the anatomy department of the university to study the surgical anatomy with specimens showing the way to the arteries and to the veins that is needed to dissect these vessels before creating the fistula. In the afternoon, we had took advantage of a nice arm model with flow to really be able to practice the surgical procedure of simple arteriovenous fistula creation, radiocephalic, brachiocephalic, putting together the knowledge of the surgical anatomy and the vascular anastomosis. And finally, we had some discussion about the perioperative management. So how do we use the anesthesia? How do we manage the hydration of the patient? And that finalized the day on fistula creation. Here you can see everybody working very well to create a vascular anastomosis. And of course, it is also important some knot tying skills. Then we see here the lecture on surgical anatomy. And here we have that arm-based model with flow to be able to practice the simple fistulas in a very realistic manner. Then day 4 was devoted to monitoring and surveillance. So we had some dialysis patients in our vascular ultrasound laboratory, and we were able to do a physical examination of all these patients in the morning and in the afternoon, different patients, and we practiced the duplex examination of the vascular access. With flow measurement and measurement of any stenosis or problems that might be there in the vascular access. So here you can see this was a patient with an endovascular fistula, and the physical examination of that fistula is being done by one of the residents. The 5th day, already approaching the end of the course, was on endovascular treatment of flow dysfunction, the most common complication, as you are well aware of. So we used again, we practiced again the ultrasound-guided cannulation that is used to start the endovascular procedure. We used a model to practice guide wire and catheter manipulation, so you get a feel for different wires, different catheters to navigate through the vessels. And then we did a case discussion using some angiography images and going step by step through the endovascular procedure, all the time thinking about what will be the next step, how do we treat complications such as vessel rupture during the treatment. And I think this was well to get a good feeling for how to approach the endovascular treatment of stenosis in a fistula. And finally, there also was we also used a model to practice the puncture of which is the most important step in the procedure, the puncture of the vein, and through the vein, the proximal radial artery, to create an ellipsis endovascular fistula. So also some of the new innovative technologies were covered in this course. Well, here you can see the way we did the guide wire and catheter manipulation, trying to navigate through sheets with different catheters, different wires, balloons, inflation devices, just to get a start and get a feel for how all these devices feel and work. And here you can see the way we practice the endovascular creation of a fistula with the ellipsis device. The final day we devoted to a case discussion of other vascular access complications. So aneurysms, central vein obstruction, hand ischemia, high flow, infection. And we had every resident prepare a couple of slides on a case that they encountered themselves in their clinical practice. So again, this was a very collaborative way of learning together and sharing knowledge and within the group. So this and finally, of course, there was also a little time to celebrate when the course was over, and we had done 6 days of hard work with some drinks together to finish the week, as you can see here. I will not go too far into the REPET course, but we all had a similar, very hands-on program, collaborative learning on the peritoneal dialysis, catheter insertion, and the care that is pre-operative, perioperative, post-operative, how to manage complications, watching videos of laparoscopy, going to the operating room, to see how this is done, the laparoscopic placement, both basic and advanced. So I think this gave a rather comprehensive view of PD catheter insertion and problems with surgical problems with the catheter in a 3-day course. Just some pictures there as well. So, well, I think when I had a wonderful time with the residents that came to Maastricht. When I think back on the program, I am really enthusiastic about the NPATH curriculum. I think it stimulates the integration of clinical practice in Europe. I think that it is a very good start in hands-on training for interventions. I do think that being really competent to perform these interventions by yourself in the future in your own clinical practice, it will require further training on the job at the local institution. I think that simply doing the hands-on course for a couple of days will not give you enough practice to be able to have competency in doing it just independently. So I think there should be a connection with the local institution to allow further training, hands-on training on the job. I think that it is such a great curriculum, especially the REVAC and the REPET, where I was involved, that I think it should open for all specialties being involved in the care for vascular access and peritoneal access. So I think it should broaden its scope and accept vascular surgery and interventional radiology residents as well in courses that will be held in the future. And I would suggest, if we are continuing this, offering these courses, that it would be very helpful to collaborate with international meetings of the scientific societies, so we can have these courses attached to the scientific meetings, and therefore reduce the costs of traveling, both in money but also in environmental burden, so we can have people going to the scientific meeting and then have the hands-on training course immediately before or after the training. So these were just some thoughts about the program and about the future of the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martin, for this touch from Maastricht. Thank you very much. We are missing you here in Bari, but I know that you are working very hard, as you were reporting. So thank you for all the effort that you put inside of the program. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you soon.
Great pleasure.
And, to collaborate again with you. So now let's move from Maastricht to Prague. And I would like to invite Professor Ruskova from the General University Hospital in Prague for her talk. Please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to express my gratitude to be with you here today and to participate in this beautiful project. I'm gonna be very brief. We from General University Hospital in Prague really enjoyed our participants in the program. We participated in REMA, PREVAC, and REMAS regarding the e-learning lectures that were prepared by my boss, Professor Vladimir Tesar, who's I think quite well-known European nephrologist with main expertise in glomerular diseases, and by Professor Jan Malik, who is a cardiologist but has been very active in Vascular Access Society, and myself. Regarding the hands-on trainings, we organized two. REMAP was dedicated to renal biopsy training, and we talked about different aspects of kidney biopsy, including indication, contraindications, like the procedure itself. We had the virtual reality training, and also the simulator, and the pathologist was also with us, so it was like comprehensive. And then the training remarks that included ultrasound, again, different aspects of ultrasound in nephrology. And these are the students that participated in the project from our center. 4 of them are like directly from our department, and 1 of them is from Poland. And I need to say they all really enjoyed their participants as well, and they are very grateful for being a part of that. And we as the teachers learned a lot as well. I think that this is not the end of the project. This is a beginning of a new future collaboration.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's right. It's the beginning. It's not the end. And now let's move to Professor Goumenos from Patras, from the University of Patras. Dimitris is also the elected secretary of the ERA, of the European Renal Association. Thank you for coming, Dimitris.
Good morning, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Tino Gesualdo for our participation in this very interesting initiative and path. I really believe that it was an excellent initiative, and the feeling that we all have is that it should be continued in some way. And before I present what we did in Patras, I would like to say that I absolutely agree with everything Tino said previously for interventional nephrology and the problems we are facing with the lack of new doctors attracted in our specialty. When I first applied for a council member in ERA-DTA and then for the position of Secretary General, I'm honored to say that I got it, as he previously said. When I put my application, I put as first priority the interventional nephrology in the facts that European Renal Association needs to develop. And I believe on that because interventional nephrology is something that will attract more juniors in our specialty for training in this topic. You all know that arterial hypertension, which is also a nephrology topic, has moved to cardiologists, to internal medicine doctors, and so on. Also, nephrolithiasis has moved to urologists. So we have lost many topics of our specialty. And I believe that interventional nephrology, along with collaboration with endovascular society, with the vascular society, and also with interventional radiology society, needs to be developed by European Renal Association. And I'm happy that Professor Ibeas, who is with us, is involved in the vascular association of European society. So, what we did in Patras, we had, you can see here where Patras is. It's not very far from Bari. Actually, I could have come by boat, but I prefer to take the plane, and it was not so easy. So, it's not moving? Oh, okay. This is our hospital. and these two photos. We have in the Department of Nephrology 3 academic members. That's me and Professor Evangelos Papachristou, who is Associate Professor at the moment, and Maris Papasoteriou, he's Assistant Professor in Nephrology. And we have also 1 consultant and 4 registrars in nephrology, and 6 people are trained in our specialty. And there are 3 junior doctors who are trained in internal medicine by rotate in our department. We cover, we have 22 ward, 22 beds in the ward, and the population covered by our center is about 1 million inhabitants of West Greece. We have about 14,000 sessions on hemodialysis annually, and most 2,000 sessions in ICU, and about 150 plasma exchange sessions annually. We have 40 patients in peritoneal dialysis, and we attend more than 1,500 patients in our outpatient clinic. We have the luck to have a very good collaboration with interventional radiology department, with especially with these 3 colleagues, Professor Karnabatidis, Professor Katsanos, and Professor Panos Kitrou, who is very actively involved in the endovascular AVF, and he's well known among the people who are dealing with this topic. They are doing a variety of techniques and interventions in our patients, and we are in very close collaboration with them for any problems our patients present in the everyday practice. We took place in NPATH with lectures in RIVAC part with lectures on vascular access complications and endovascular AVF by Panos Kitrou, and also in RIPED web lectures describing the anatomy and physiology of peritoneal membrane, postoperative complications of catheter placement, and PD case recorded in the operating room. And we took part in the hands-on training in REMUS and in RIPED. In the REMUS hands-on training, we try to follow all this schedule, all the curriculum that is described in this slide, which is basically the direction from NPATH. We spent 5 days with colleagues very well experienced in ultrasonography, and you can see here in a specific education room, there were the tutors to the students, and also, you see, these are the tutors, and also the students who try to learn doing ultrasonography in the various topics of the module, with looking one-to-one between them, and also they had the opportunity to do some ultrasound in patients along with the radiologists. You can see here. In the RIPED hands-on training, we also followed the 3 days course, full-time, all of these 3 days, and we had the opportunity to show the PD catheters insertion and exertion, and there were 2-3 videos from previous operations in patients with who had PD catheter inserted, or the surgeons had to remove the catheters, so they looked to the videos 2 or 3 times. Also, they had some lessons according to the infections, complications, and management of patients, and they had also to have some practice in the CAPD outpatient department, trying to do some exchanges with the bags of peritoneal dialysis fluid and see how the nurses are doing this work. So they had to try themselves to do some exchanges. We had 2 surgeons doing some showing how to put the catheter in the students, and they also participated in this education program. So you can see them, the people who were educated, 4 trainees came to the department to do the RIPED part. This is Papachristou in the left and Papasoteriou in the right. And This is the place where they got the education program and they take the exam at the end. And they had the opportunity to go to a nice place when they finished their education to enjoy a nice dinner with my colleagues. So thank you very much. And I can say that I will try. Thank you. I will try from my new position to develop this initiative, and I will be in close contact with Professor Gesualdo and Professor Ibeas, who are very actively involved in this attempt. And I hope that we will manage to develop more in European Renal Association, the interventional nephrology. Thank you once more.
Thank you, Professor Goumenos. And now we move from Patras, from Greece, to Barcelona, Sabadell. And it's my pleasure to introduce José, Professor Ibeas, that comes from the Parc Taulí Hospital Universitario.
Fantastico, Professor Gesualdo. See my skin, my hairs. Well, probably this is one of the more important days in your life because you are going to enjoy probably the change in the future of nephrology as the history, as Professor Gesualdo have told you, probably we will have the opportunity to change in some aspects. Well, in a few slides, I'm going to explain you how we work. Fantastic. In my hospital is a big hospital with a reference area of 500,000 inhabitants. We have a lot of centers that depend on us, with a lot of activity, and with a lot of processes and projects in research and innovation. And this is very important because we have an innovation unit that gives us the possibility to create things. And one of them are the simulators. I will explain you how. Well, we work under the umbrella. These are the main research and innovation groups, and each one of these groups have inside 3 or 4 or 5 groups. We are involved in the group of interventional procedures, and in this, in all these groups, in a transversal way, we always have in one hand the clinics and the other the technology. Well, the group that I lead is called Clinical Interventional Computational Nephrology because we work a lot in interventional nephrology and the last years with biomedical engineering in or related with computational aspects. We have in our team here only a part, vascular surgeons, interventional nephrologists, radiologists, nurses, and the last years, biomedical engineers and data science. Well, just our context in Spain, like across Europe, we have a problem, as Dr. Gesualdo says. This is our work group of the Spanish Society of Nephrology. Well, we have realized the last year we have a problem. The lack of sexy aspects in nephrology makes that the residents choose other specialties. For this reason, we want to try to involve the residents, giving the opportunity to put in our hand protocols, interventional procedures, and so on, but with some kind of network of training centers, and probably this is the future. We are working in document of consensus, in ultrasound, interventional procedures, in all related what work happens in any part of Spain. In fact, we have a census of how works the different centers in Spain in order to know what are our parts more weak or our parts with more strength in order to develop these areas for create a network of training probably across Europe, unifying the different countries. We have created documented consensus, we have created guidelines, so you know very well, and in this context, when any resident came to any center to be trained, we need protocols, and this is probably the secret. And the strengthness of this NVAC project is that all the key opinion leaders that are included here are the writers of these consensus documents. Well, in our group, one of the core of our main projects are interventional nephrology, related with computation and artificial intelligence. And in this context, we have an important unit of innovation, give us the opportunity to create some important projects related with research and innovation, like the simulation models. Well, and this is the core, the vascular access area inside our group, where we have a vascular access program that we are working with this program for the last probably close to 15 years, where we have different groups of vascular surgeons, interventional radiologists, nurses, very organized. I coordinate all of them. And in this way, we are working in courses from 15 years, making courses of interventional procedures, ultrasound, and so on. And in fact, We were, even with animals, in fact, veterinary, this is a really expensive, really problematic organization, but it's amazing. With pigs, you can put fluoroscopic guided tunnel catheters until the hair, you can put PD catheters, but this is not the future. The future probably are simulators. And even you can make kidney biopsies, you can see the glomerula and so on. For the, even we were the first, when we organized the first the meeting of Vascular Society in Barcelona 2015, we were the first that introduced the hands-on courses in the vascular access meetings, and we realized that this was really the future, but with general topics, with general lectures, and with simulation. And in this context, we realized that these courses, and we the first one in the Vascular Society, were really amazing. And from this year, we make every year in the Vascular Society meetings these courses, but realized that probably some of these simulators are really expensive and really not very realistic. For this reason, the question was, why not to create our own simulators? And this was born ANAIS. And when ANAIS, we create all that we thought that we need for training our residents. And we can go directly from the theoretical parts to the practical parts. And this means that we can work with synthetic simulators, with beta-rated simulators. We can do anything that we want because we have the imaging, the MRI, the CT scan, and so on. With the medical engineers, with the knowledge of the clinicians, we can make that we want. Well, in this aspect, we have used this kind of simulators in the past projects, and was amazing, like the other simulators of the other colleagues that have created, like in Bari or Milano, these simulators. And we think the project is the future of the training in nephrology everywhere. Well, in this context, if the future of interventional nephrology goes through data protocols, education, training, research, and so on, that is clear we have to unify all the criteria for research, investigation, and mainly for training. And this is probably that we are going to speak about in the last hours, in the last minutes of this meeting. So this is secret. The multidisciplinary team, vascular surgery, radiologists, interventional nephrologists, nurses, in a team, because we have to think not in our aims, not our products, not our money. We have to think in the patient. Sometimes is the more forgotten in the movie. Well, we have been involved in the REBAC program and the REPET program. I'm not going to tell you details about the program. It's very well explained by our colleagues, and it's in the website. And we went through the general lectures, theoretical classes, practical classes, all related with the creation of AVF, the follow-up of AVF, the endovascular procedure of AVF, the rescue, the pathology. We have the opportunity to work together hand to hand with the surgeon, radiologists, nurses, and so on, touch a lot of patients, make the exams, make a lot of networking, and with the infrastructure of the hospital, we have the opportunity to teach our residents all that we could. Well, a very important part is the networking. This is crucial because you are going to create an invisible college for the future, and probably as you are the first brick for the future, probably you are not going to be able to forget this never. Well, and in the REPET the same, we use the theoretical classes, the practical ones. We use our simulators in order to go stage by stage through the different aspects of the training. We make the ultrasound examinations for any part of the patients to make the catheter placement, the wall inside the cavity, how to put the catheter placement in the simulators, and so on. And finally, well, to conclude our feeling in this as a hospital center in this context, my colleagues in the hospital, the direction of my hospital, the innovation of the hospital are really happy to collaborate in this program because all of us think that this is not half finished yet. This is probably the pilot program in order to create the change of interventional nephrology across Europe. And we have a challenge. So we have to avoid any gap between this program and the second one. And this is the reason of this brainstorming. Thank you very much indeed.
Now we move from Barcelona to Ljubljana in Slovenia. So it's my pleasure to invite Professor Buturovic Ponikvar, and after we will break, we will have a coffee break, and we will restart it with the societies and with the technical part. So please, thank you very much for coming.
Dear all, it is a great pleasure and honor to be here. I'm coming from University Medical Center Ljubljana, and our department of nephrology is one of the biggest departments, having 28 nephrology specialists and 12 fellows. And we have a long tradition of international and diagnostic nephrology, having nurturing surgical skills with our nephrology in creating nephrologists for the more than 40 years, creating vascular access and also repairing vascular access, more than 8,000 surgeries. And this under local anesthesia usually is outpatient procedure, and this enabled immediate access of our patients to create or repair AV fistula. And we have tested our ability to organize the hands-on course with a big help of Professor Ribeas in 2017. We were when 10th Vascular Access Congress of the VAS Society was organized in Ljubljana, and there was a full day hands-on course on vascular access in our hospital. And during end path, we were involved in the REMOS and REMAP module. Actually, we trained young fellows in kidney biopsy, how to perform safe and gentle kidney biopsy in ever more and more complexing patients with a nephrologist and a single operator. And this course was also the opportunity for us to become familiar with augmented reality in virtual simulation. We did not experience this kind of training before. And the major teacher, I was involved as a teacher, and also my colleagues, Professor Micha Arnold, who is expert in Doppler ultrasonography and kidney biopsy, Professor Jaren Paek, who is also nephrologist with surgical skill, knowing many things, creating AV fistula, and also now inserting peritoneal dialysis catheter, and also expert in ultrasonography, kidney biopsy, and Professor Jakob Gubenschek, who is also nephrologist with surgical skills, who will create AV fistula and also repair it, including graft. And we are very happy that we have also young nephrologists interested in interventional nephrology. Our fellows circulating through other centers in Europe were really exciting and happy to complete this course. And maybe some. And as concerns REMOS course, we do not only perform point-of-care ultrasonography, we perform comprehensive renal ultrasonography also for renovascular disease. And the best model to start to learn comprehensive renal ultrasonography is a transplanted kidney, and we offer that during the course. And I would add maybe one suggestion, that the international nephrology courses are also the opportunity to involve young nephrologists for the research in this field. And we have a number of PhDs completed from our young nephrologists that were for field of ultrasonography or the field of vascular access performed by nephrologists. So I'm very fond of that this collaboration would continue in the future, and Ljubljana can offer more than ultrasonography and kidney biopsy, and you all invited to visit us. It is also a very nice city to visit. Thank you.
Thank you, Jadranka. Welcome to Bari once again. And since we have, 15 minutes to go, if Professor Ribeas and Federica Locascio are able to cover in 15 minutes, but Cosette told me 2 minutes, Tino, for the vast. So Federica, please, your presentation on and we will have a coffee break at 11:45.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Federica, and I represent the ERA Association. I'm part of the Italian staff based in Parma, but as an association, we have an impact that is international. As you can see, we have more than 19,000 members, and we come to reach the 20,000 members for the next year. We organize every year congress, big congress, reaching about 10,000 participants, attendees. And this year, we also invited the 40 residents of Empath Project to attend. So it was a big opportunity for them to start, to be introduced in this fantastic world of experts and boosting their career. So I would like also to invite all the students that are present today to join the YMP platform. That is a group for members up to 40 years. So students, future nephrologists can join this group and participate in the activities and join a rich program of seminars and training activities.
Well, Federica, before you go on, why, since we have here Ugo, that is in the Young Nephrology platform, since we have many young nephrologists this morning here, why, Ugo, you don't add something on this, platform? Can you come? And this way, after Federica will finish, her presentation, since, we are informal people, please, yes, you can go on close to Federica. In this way, you introduce, what you do, what does this Young Nephrology platform, Professor Goumenos.
Okay.
19,000 members, huge society, I should say.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Hugo Diniz. I'm from Portugal. I work in Oporto. I've been part of the Young Nephrologist platform board for a year now. So the Young Nephrologist platform is a committee from the ERA that represents all the young nephrologists and researchers, so less than 40 years old.
So it's not only for nephrologists, but also for researchers.
Yeah. Interested in
who is inside here should be, should subscribe.
Yeah, and right now we have 5,545 members. 20% of these are not from the Europe or Mediterranean area, so we have 20% of people outside of Europe, so we are a global platform, okay? And our main interests representing the young nephrologists and researchers is to facilitate the networking between the young nephrologists, to create educational opportunities, and to foster the young careers, and to engage the young nephrologists into the ERA activities. So I think we have a lot of shared interests between the YNP and the NPATH program. And myself, I am an interventional and diagnostic nephrologist, so I'm very keen on both the initiatives. And I think empirically, I think that residents and fellows are very thirsty for nephrology, for diagnostic and interventional nephrology education. I coordinated the first point-of-care ultrasound course for the ERA Congress, and at some point during the lessons, there were people sitting on the floor because there were not any more chairs available. Also in Portugal, when we organize our point-of-care ultrasound meetings, we are always full. We have people from Europe asking to come to our center to do basic stuff, like to learn how to place tunneled catheters. So yeah, I think the NPATH program is a great way to democratize education across Europe. There are countries that don't have access to this kind of training this can facilitate the traveling of fellows to other parts of Europe where they can have proper training. But it's very important to do this in a very coordinated and organized manner, because if not, then the education won't be successful, and then people won't be able to bring this to their centers and to start doing this properly and safely.
Thank you, Hugo. And we are, trying, to develop a program in the future that we will present, to the ERA together with COSE. Let's see what will turn out in the future. So please, Federica, let's finish with the ERA.
So our main pillars are education, science, and networking. Our main pillars are education, science, and networking. So, as the word says, we organize e-learning activities, educational training, and one of these, of course, is the NPAF project. Science, we have 9 working groups specializing in different topics. They are committed to do researches and produce papers and relevant publications. And as you can see, we publish 2 leading journals, CKJ and NDT. And of course, networking to allow our members to get to know each other and exchange their experience in the field of nephrology. I go very fast on the role of the ERA in the NPAF project. So we led the work package 2, coordinating the definition of the NPAF learning course, and mainly the activities related to communication and dissemination, thanks to our very huge network of contacts. As you can see, we invited the residents to attend the ERA Congress in Milan. They had really fun moments and the opportunity to meet again, once again before the end of this project. And they were very enthusiastic. This is our website, our social media channels, and here are some pictures from the events we organized to disseminate the project. So, as I said, every year we organize a big congress, and every year we find a slot to present the NPAF results. So this was from the first congress that was held online due to COVID pandemic. So the event was completely virtual. Then we also organized a one-day training in Parma. Then again in Paris, during the hands-on courses, the 3 key representatives of the project presented NPAF to the attendees. And this year we had again the ERA Congress, and Professor Gesualdo had a fantastic, very fun presentation, very emotional, to a big audience, 3,000 attendees, both in person in Milan and also via remote connection. And during the same event, we also had a dedicated session with the students that received the diploma. And here a nice picture with the ERA president, Professor Christoph Banner, in the center of the picture. And this year we also celebrate the 6th anniversary of the association, and Professor Christoph Banner, the president, as I said, spent also a few words about the NPAF project. He wrote an article celebrating the achievements of the association, and also spent a few words about this relevant project. And that's all.
Thank you very much, Federica. We are on time. You have 4 minutes, Jose. So 45, we will have the coffee that we needed, I think, at this time.
Well, I'm going to change the hat, the Vascular Society. Well, can you put the... Perfect. Well, one of the main parts of the, as well as the other one of this project is vascular access. The difference in vascular access versus the other 3 pillars is that we depend a lot of other specialties, vascular surgeons, radiologists, nurses, and so on, relation with the nephrologists. And the main problem of this is that you have to understand how to work the other specialties. And the key role of the Vascular Society is help on this, now and in the future. I was the past president when I was involved in this. I have the responsibility of help from the Vascular Society point of view to this project. And the key point of this is that all these committees can help with that. This is one of my personal challenge when I was president of the Vascular Society, in order to create this committee in collaboration with all the people of the Vascular Society, because all related with training depend not on the Vascular Society, but other societies that are under the umbrella of the Vascular Society. These societies, mainly the tertiary interventional radiology, mainly the ESBS vascular surgery or the TNA nurses, need the collaboration of the nephrologists and nephrology the collaboration. And the Vascular Society have the mission to help on this. Also, there is collaboration with other countries, and the future of this is use the Vascular Society of other countries under the umbrella of the Vascular Society to help to the ERA in order to spread all this information and work. Well, this is our, the education committee members, the pillar of the education of our Vascular Society, and these are the people in charge or related with the NPATH project. David was the president and responsibility of the society during this project. And all the role during this process was, as Federica has said, related with diffusion, communication, helping infrastructure, and so on, social media, all the residents' gates, and so on, and the collaboration in different aspects under the umbrella of the Vascular Society. But the key role was under the Congress of the Vascular Society. Here in Porto, in this year, we have the opportunity to have a fantastic roundtable where we put in the table the future of Vascular Society under the umbrella and the flowing collaboration with the rest of the specialties. What challenging is see how the diffusion had this video in the social media, and we highlight that all these social media posts create probably the environment in the Vascular Society and their members that probably the nephrology is changing regarding this project. This is a video that you can access in the website, and I'm not going to put. And there is some reflection for the future. I'm going to speak afterwards. What they're going to do, how can the Vascular Society help to this? Mainly with the collaboration with the big societies and the collaboration with the ERA, the CIRSE, the ESBS, and the TNA, probably the future to understand the Vascular Society depends on the national societies in coordination with the big societies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose. Now it's time for coffee. We will restart with my empath experience with Fausta Piancone, and after we will move to the technical part, that is empath digital simulation and innovation technology transfer. In this way, we close, because it's better than now. We have learned from the teacher, we learn from the students. So you don't mind that if I have moved, the presentation. So we will Start with the student experience. We have now Fausta Piancone from the University of Bari that will report her My Empath experience. Fausta,
Thank you,
let's
Professor.
start dream. Let's dream your colleagues, you know.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I'm Fausta Piancone, and I'm a nephrology resident here in Bari, where I performed my application for the Empath program. So today I want to try to explain you my personal Empath experience as a nephrology resident here in Bari and all around Europe. So let's start. During my application, Professor Gesualdo says, Faustina, why would you like to become a nephrologist? Well, in 2014, in November, I had a big opportunity to take part into a living donor kidney transplantation. And since then, my thought was nephrology, and I have become interested in what we love calling the queen of medical specialties. So, for me, nephrology manages to be as simple as complex, and it would be considered as a perfect mix of clinical and interventional practice, with a big interest in the most fragile people and a continuous researching program. So I and the other 39 European first and second year nephrology residents were selected across 6 countries by 2 rounds of selection. The first one by the evaluation of our curricula, and the second one by an online interview to test our English proficiency and our motivation to be part of this big program. So let me briefly explain the organization of our training. So it was very useful to have an online platform with online lectures about 4 topics with 4 independent curricula that are renal biopsy, vascular access, medical ultrasound, and peritoneal dialysis. All the lectures were very useful because they were always every day present on the platform, so it let us to combine daily work with the effort required by the program. After the online lectures, we had the Meet the Expert section, and all the theoretical classes were followed by practical courses that let us to learn and practice all together. At the end, and last but not the least, we had the first final test to improve and test our new knowledge and practices acquired. So the Meet the Expert section was online. These are 2 examples. And it was a big opportunity to discuss, meet, and listen to some of the most influential experts about every topic. And we could ask some questions and give some curiosities or doubts raised from the online lectures. But sure, the most exciting experience of Empath was the hands-on training, because we can consider, first of all, a big opportunity to practice something that was so theoretical before and improve our English language. Second, this possibility were performed in some of the most beautiful European cities. And sure, it was so special because we could mix knowledge and sharing our lessons with colleagues coming from all over Europe. Let's start. We practiced with some different devices. First of all, virtual reality. And I remember that my class of renal biopsy training in Prague could summarize our experience with this sentence, this question: where is the needle? We couldn't see the needle, so we were wearing a net cut and holding two controllers try to perform a kidney biopsy on the lower pole of right kidney or left kidneys. And we also tried to follow the tunnel of a peritoneal catheter. Then we practiced it also on special mannequins realized designed for this project. And we tried, for example, you can see, to cannulate the jugular vein or to realize in a distal or proximal AVF creation with or without graft. And then we tried also to start some interventional radiologist procedures. Finally, we tried also to practice on animal models, for example, pig kidneys floating on water to be more similar to a breathing patient during biopsy, or chicken, like in Sabadell, to perform CVC cannulation. And you can see all the final part that is the most important for me is a real life experience with patient, feeling like a real nephrologist and not only training in fellowship. So in this slide, I try to mix some pros and cons about this experience. Among the pros, I think EMPAT could represent a new purpose for a patient-centered study approach, very fresh, very dynamic, and is a possibility to open our doors to different realities, people, and university and clinical centers, and to improve the confidence of every resident with new professional skills and new technologies and learning tools. At the right on this slide, I don't have cons, but some suggestions to improve the program. The first is the precision of the virtual training tools, because I think, for example, virtual reality is a really good big concept that could be very useful for us if tailored on our needs. Second, we could think to extend the application for residents beyond the third year of residency. And it would be great if more and more university could take part to the project, and if we can add some personalized program to deepen to continue some specific area of interest of every residence. For example, we can add other topic like transplantation. Continuing on final consideration, I will never forget words Professor Ibeas told us during our training in Sabadell. And EMPAT must be considered as a very way of thinking, is a state of mind. So never stop to believe in our dreams, believe that these new realities could be possible for our daily work by ourselves and with our colleagues here in Bari or in every university, and with our new colleagues. So, beyond the study and the practice, I can say that we started as simple colleagues, but now we have friends all over Europe, and I want to thank with very sincerely Professor Gesualdo and the other partner university to give us this big idea and this big project that is an Erasmus Plus, the first European attending course of advanced technology in diagnostic and interventional nephrology. This is for us.
How about getting off of these antibiotics? How about stopping eating when I am full of? How about them trying to spare untangling carrots? How about that ever elusive good out? Thank you, India. Thank you, terror. Thank you, disillusionment. Thank you, frailty. Thank you, consequence. Thank you, silence. How about me not blaming you for everything? How about me enjoying a moment for once? How about how good it feels to finally forgive you? How about grieving it all one at a time? Thank you, India. Thank you, terror. Thank you, disillusionment. Thank you, frailty. Thank you, consequence. Thank you, silence. The moment I let go of it was the moment I got more than I could handle. The moment I jumped off of it was the moment I touched down. How about no longer being masochistic? How about remembering your divinity?
Thank you.
Thank you, Faustina, for these beautiful memories. And we were also growing the new generation. You saw, new nephrologists coming in. So one of the fellow, well, more than one of the fellow was pregnant, and they delivered, beautiful children. So congratulations also for this. Okay, now let's move to the technical part. It's the time for Marta and Valentina that, as you know, EMAC and Eureka helped us in the building up, the program. So who starts? Valentina.
Me. Very hard after first videos. Was so emotional. Okay, so we have to came back to reality. So I am Valentina Bocchibianchi. I represent my company, Eureka, one of the 12 partners of the NPAT project. I was the project manager of the e-learning segment, and my colleague, Dr. Alberto Mandoli, was the head of the High Quality Control Committee. No. Okay, so those are, this is a summary of what Eureka and EMAC have managed. So the lectures, the hands-on training, and the Meet the Experts meetings. So those were the hours of lectures, of hands-on, and Meet the Expert for for each modules. We have all navigated then PATH website by now. This site has been the point of reference for residents in these 2 years. On this website, they have found the lesson in a video clip, some PDF, slideshows, and so on. All the information on the hands-on training, where they were held, and when and where will be held, and they Meet the Expert, and of course the learning tests, which now have been removed because, as I will say later, we are in open access mode. Okay, so how we built the modules. Each module was built by the scientific board, coordinated by the principal investigator, Professor Tino Gesualdo. It's difficult to call you Loreto, it's very difficult this time. Coordinated by the professor. Then the tutor and I, we have put together the course material, and we managed all the material of the lesson, as I said. So the remap modules was tutored by Tino Gesualdo. I don't know why I cannot use this one. Okay. The Revac by Carlo Lomonte, the Remus by Mauro Forcella, and the Reped by Roberto Russo. Okay. One of the events that I personally really loved was the Meet the Expert. Me and the tutors of respective modules, we have gathered the teacher into several module topics. Then the students, again from the website, they found the appointment on the calendar and then enter in this 1 hour long Zoom meeting. During this appointment, I collect some questions and I make this little talk with the teachers and the students. Okay, so the surveys. Regarding our residents, our 40 residents, these are the results of the surveys. This is an average of the 4 modules surveys. So the feedback are very, very nice. Sorry. I don't know why it doesn't work. Okay, the survey shows a very high quality feedback from the residents. As you can see, this is, as I just said, an average of the 4 model surveys. So, and they have judged the content, if the material were adequate, and how the Meet the Experts went, and if the topics were interesting. The next one is about hands-on, and so I leave the floor to Marta.
I think penso che forse questo, vabbè, ci proviamo. High technology, and we cannot have a remote controller. Yes, this is where, and so it's specifically related to the hands-on training that has been a bit everywhere. And besides going to numbers, I think that from here I have 2 comments on that. The one is that I think it's very important to make people go around, because if you stay always in the same place, you always see things done in the same way, and you finally easily get to think that that's the only way. But if you go around, talk with people, so people that do the same thing you do, maybe in a slightly different way, you can get ideas, you can get a bit of open mind, you can get nice suggestion, or you can get also the feedback that you're doing very well. So why not being satisfied sometimes? So going around has been a very important task on the basis of this learning program. And it has been quite an effort to distribute people in all places in a quite homogeneous way. And just in case we need another evidence of the willing of the students to participate is the amount of emails that I received once we were, telling people you will go there for those dates. And if they have problems, they could not attend those dates. And it was difficult because they had to put those dates into their everyday work. So totally not easy. Lots of emails saying, okay, I really cannot manage for those dates there. Can I go somewhere else in some other dates? And we were always working on it till we find a solution. So there was a strong will to make it. And I really like it. And the fact that they went around, but we were working on a common program, make another thing very important on the path, find common agendas. So the idea was to go around and have different views, but basically learning and trying to put together the new standard for nephrology training. So we had with all the universities and the PIs and responsible for all the trainers and the courses, lots of very lively and brainstorming calls and meetings in order to define what will be the learning goal of this hands-on training. And there we find really different approaches, different way of thinking, and it was challenging to put everything together, but I think in the end we managed to put something that was satisfactory for quite everybody. The evaluation of the hands-on training, again, are quite positive, and we know that. Actually, I like the fact that it's not all perfect. All perfect seems not too real, and this means that we have something to focus on to get better, to improve, to learn from what we did, and do better the next way. So I will not go specific into numbers. They are in all documents from the project, so we can get. This is another very important result that the project pop outside. It was clear that there were some holes, some missings in the simulators, in the tools to do some hands-on training, because there was the theory, there was what they should do training, but they were not the simulator. So we have 3 spin-off startup, new companies that tried to create, to invent, to put together something, listening to the nephrologists that were our mentor, let's say that, in the project. And we all developed new tools to support this new way of training. And I think this is another big result of the project, that it's a step where to start the new path. And we have a spin-off in MedPath where we work with the University of Bari and the technology companies. Anais Medical has already been mentioned and was born in Spain, and Juvent University in Milan. So it means that there really is a need that was unmet. And with this project, we start finding answers to this unmet need. And this has been done in our consortium. So I think this is a very good achievement. It's a very practical and real result to present, together with the smiles. This is yours.
Yes. So obviously one of the most positive things that I was lucky enough to live up close is the beauty of the group, as Fausta just told us. The group that has been created, a very solid group of people who comes all over of Europe and beyond. And my hope is that network remains very solid. But, okay, the diffusion of the project, I leave this picture from the ERA event. Since the ERA event, the NPAT website has become open access. This means that all content have become free to be consulted by anyone. So simply go to the website npat.eu, then classes, then register now. You have to fill out a form and you have access to all the four modules. So just this. One important thing to say before the open access data is that even before sharing the open access, we received some requests. People we met during meeting in Patras, in Milan, in Parma, and they were interested to join NPAT during the NPAT program, and so we included them as guests. We don't have any personal data about these people that tell us who they are, but we know that after a few months of activities, we had already 65 people interested in NPAT. Now, by today, so far, we have 193 members that they registered. Let's see the data. So NPAT confirms itself as a mostly female and young formation. So you can see the big cake here. 91 are male and 102 female. And the most relevant are in the age between 26 and 35. Important thing we do. July 2023 is the moment that we reach the peak of new register. Those are the data divided by date. So it will be very interesting to compare the communication sending by VAS and ERA to verify the efficacy. Oh, and this is my favorite one, because I was very curious about where they came from. And as you can see, mainly from Europe, but not only, almost from all around the world. Spain is the number one, then Italy, Portugal, Algeria, India, UK, Germany, Greece, and so on. But even from Hong Kong, Kazakhstan, Korea, Montenegro, Netherlands, Slovakia, Sri Lanka, and United States. Okay. In the registration form, we also ask a few other questions about their profession and interests. This data tells us a lot because it can tell us which topics are the interest of the nephrologists between the age of 26 and 35, which haven't seen, they are the majority. And the topics that are the most interesting are renal biopsy and histopathology, ultrasound, and vascular access. So, okay, the department field was a free field, so not mandatory, but that's what they indicated. So almost the majority are nephrology, then renal medicine, internal medicine, and so on. And the department is prevalent, occupied by nephrologists. So at the moment, the numbers are still low, but I trust that with new communication and with this event, we can reach important numbers. So we have 2 years to do it. And it's really worth it because we, inside this website that is available for everyone and free of charge, we have to remember this, there are many high-level lessons and the passion of all the teachers that were involved. So I invite everyone to spread the voice and to share the npat.eu again. So thank you.
Thank you, both of you, Marta and Valentina. And now it's time for Antonio is closing down. So please, Antonio. So Antonio will report his vision of innovation and technology transfer in nephrology. Antonio.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I am Antonio Giusto. I work for the Research and Innovation Department of the University of Bari. Specifically, I was involved in the EMPAT project. I thank you, Professor Gesualdo, for inviting me into this beautiful event and to give me this opportunity to lead the management and financial aspect of this project. So my presentation will I'll try to fit in all this beautiful presentation, especially like the presentation of Faustina. So I'll try to compete. And my presentation is focused on the impact of innovation and technology transfer in education. So I will basically go over on how innovation and technology transfer are defined in literature, why they are so important to be introduced in the education path, how market responded to that opportunity. We'll give some examples of the latest advancement in technology, technological advancement in innovation strategies in medical education, for concluding with some key messages for innovation policies in education. So I will start by defining what is meant for innovation technology transfer, although there are two different terms that often they are used interchangeably since they are both recognized to be key drivers for economic growth. Researchers define innovation as the generation, acceptance, and implementation of new ideas, processes, products, and services, while technology transfer rather refers to the process of convening results stemming from scientific and technological research to the marketplace. So this put the two concepts in close relationship that researchers found in three different options. We are inbound scenario where technology transfer includes innovation as an application and upgrading of an existing technology. Innovation includes technology transfer as an outbound scenario, is more like creating a new technology. And the third one, which is considered the dominant one within the society, where innovation and technology transfer overlap in a systemic relationship coming from research and development process. But why they matter so much? So first of all, they can improve learning outcomes and the quality of education. Then innovation may help to enhance equity in the access and the use of education, as well as equality in learning outcomes. Third, they have the power to minimize cost and maximize long-term public investment and private investment as well. And innovation may help education system to remain up to date, so to be flexible to the rapid changes of the society. Although the education has been always considered to be a non-productive sector with an ability to introduce innovation, with the latest technological advancement and implementation, for example, of the ICT infrastructure, the education market grows rapidly. We can appreciate from this slide that in 2019, the market value of the learning market was estimated to be $200 billion, with an annual growth rate of 8%. It is expected to reach $375 billion. Or we can see, for example, the attractive opportunities in the medical simulation market. Simulation market is projected to reach $3.7 billion at 2025, with an annual growth of 14.6% from 2020 to 2025. So basically, I wanted to share this slide from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development that show the investment in of countries in the educational rail patent, where United States is, of course, for now in the first position, is followed by European Union and in Japan. So technology has been an innovation, has been gradually implemented into the medical education, and has generated a wealth of innovative approaches. I will give some example, but I also wanted to give some limitation and benefits of each one of them. So for starters, digital teaching aids and multimedia, like for example, learning platforms, webinars, live stream surgery, and so on, have the benefit to give the students a self-paced practice and instill active learning. But the limitation is that there is a lack of human interaction. So this for that reason is a bit less effective, and there is a less effective side of learning based on practice. This can be reached with the simulation-based technologies like mannequin and cadaver labs. So the benefits that prioritize patient safety, but once again, the limitation is that they are incomplete mimicking of human system, and of course the cost factor that today is very high, especially for low income countries, for example. And there is still a lack of trained staff in order that are able to transfer that knowledge. Another example of less technological advancement is the virtual reality, and then as you all know, is a modern technology that creates simulation environment, and augmented reality, which is a technology that superimposes a computer-generated image onto user view. Benefits are that enhance user experience and the perfect knowledge and skills, but limitation today is still the cost factor, and it is they are not still perfect. The artificial extension of surgeon senses is less effective that the real practice. Cloud technology is probably the future of technology in education, since enable to have information to be stored, shared, and accessed in any device. So there is unlimited access to digital material, and some limitation are, for example, the security of data that still need to be invested in, and the privacy regulation. Going on with the gamification, which is a strategic attempt to enhance systems by creating similar experiences to those experienced by playing games. And the benefits are for sure the stimulation of creativity of the student, but the limitation is that we need to accept that not every concept is fun, so it takes time to play and learn. We have artificial intelligence that still growing, that is growing on in the education. There is about to education, but also in other domain. Especially medicine, that is all about creating machines that can think like humans. So the benefits, like digital twins, for examples, and the benefits are the most cost efficient than conventional methods, but the limitation is the ethical and medical legal impact we have. So appreciating the miracles of technology is one thing, making appropriate use of them is another. So technological innovation must take advantage from the use of contemporary methodology in order to achieve substantial learning goals. So I try to focus on three different methodologies, innovative methodologies. The first one is the problem-based learning that is used in medical education from the past 35 years, and is defined as an instructional and curricular learning student-centered approach that empowers learners to conduct research and students to develop a collaborative spirit. We have a flipped cluster model. So these are the latest introduction in modern education methodologies. So the flipped learning pathway starts with the pre-class, pre-class preparation of students who are asked to explore didactic digital resources, and the in-time class on the right panel becomes available for teachers to implement a variety of student-centered and active learning strategies. And finally, we have a blended learning approach that provide a new and more flexible mobility formats and innovative ways of teaching in learning, complementing shorter physical mobility with the virtual component. So basically, all these slide, all this presentation was about to say that in empath model we try to integrate technological advancement with, but also innovative approaches. So we try to leverage technological advancement, but also innovative approaches in order to make students have that knowledge that they need to in order to tackle the future threats we're going to have in medical education. So key messages for concluding. Well-designed innovation strategy could leverage that potential of new technology with the right kind of policy mix. So we need to improve measurement that must be foundation of innovation in education. Efficient system of knowledge creation and diffusion must be guaranteed. Innovation strategy should include the smart implementation and the use of technology in a way that leverages their potential. And of course, probably the most important is that effective innovation strategy in education must include an appropriate governance model. So I wanted to conclude with this image from a book from Jules Verne, From Earth to the Moon, that basically tell a story of two researchers that were always in a contradiction. They have two different backgrounds. They always debate, but they find a way to collaborate in order to reach a major goal to go to the moon. Thank you for your attention. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you very much for everything that you did for empath. Was your burning child. So, well, we are on time, almost on time. We are recovering. Now there is the last part that is on business initiatives. I would like, to invite José Ibeas here to the table, and also the people from Milan, the engineering, please. So we will, discuss in an open way. It will be, a very informal discussion. What is next? So regarding the business initiatives. So we were already talking last afternoon, yesterday afternoon, regarding what to do next. And we were also, talking outside together also with Professor Goumenos. We needed first to understand, and Antonio was giving us an overview on what will be the new technology that is on the horizon, because, technology is changing. And our fellow ask more and more, and they want to become more precise. Faustina was saying that she couldn't find the needle, and she was asking for more precise simulators, because not always, the simulators. So in this, business discussion, I would like also to involve, EMAC and Eureka, of course. And this is on the technological part. So this is the first, question, open question that are, for the floor. The second one is the memorandum of understanding. We should sign, well, Antonio, together with the office, and I thank the Dr. Stefanelli was preparing the memorandum of understanding that we sent to the partner. So we needed, to understand what to do next, because first I saw the numbers of the registration. We needed a communication path, a communication approach that should, spread more, the website. We got a 200 subscription, but we can do more. But we needed to know how we should take alive the platform, because you needed to update it. For example, we needed to load in what we did today regarding the final event, and all the parts that we are still missing. So memorandum of understanding and new ideas will be the third chapter. So let's start with the first one, technological part. Who starts?
I think I got this one too. Okay, so just to start with something to make it clear, I am not directly connected to the Empath project, since I am from the University of Milan, but I am from the physics department. And here I'm representing, to some extent, the University of Milan, since I'm part of that institution, but I'm also representing Juvent, because I am the co-founder and CEO of this spin-off of the University of Milan, that was generated as a continuation of a research project that was taking place from 2020 and 2022. So perfectly in phase with the pandemic, but overlapping with Empath as well. So I would like to share my experience about what was the connection, technologically speaking, between us and Empath. So when we started to interact with Empath as a startup, we were embryos, while the research program was ongoing very, very well. And for us, it was very stimulating and important to interact with Empath, because we had the chance to, let's say, both develop prototypes that now are products of the startup, and to have a relevant environment into actually validate them. And so Empath for us was a workspace, if you want, to get feedback from users, regardless of the fact that they were expert users or young students or young nephrologists. That was all that feedback were very well collected to then develop new technological products. So in this sense, in my opinion, this was a very important driver for technology development, interacting with users in a very direct way. So that was it. So that was just to bring my experience over this.
Thank you.
Aspects.
But if you, let's say, if we should vision, the future.
Yeah.
What are the technology that should be more used in the future in the educational environment?
Right. Let's say from our behalf, we are starting the spin-off since March 2023. So we are a newborn. And we believe that the future is phygital. It's neither digital or physical. It's the integration of both sides in integrated platforms, in which you can get the best out of the both, and you can actually find new solutions that can possibly even adapt to the users using approaches like artificial intelligence and new learning paradigms that go that way.
Before passing the microphone to Jose, there are, questions from the floor. Somebody that has question regarding technical parts. No curiosity, artificial intelligence. What is this unknown field that is exploding? ChatGPT is already, in our hands. So Jose, they need us to be, we should warm up them, otherwise they don't, start questions.
Well, Professor Gesualdo, it's not easy to summarize all the ideas from the technical point of view, but I think there are two main aspects. One is that the name of our simulators today is Peter Smith, Giacomo Perez, are persons, and this is a problem. There is no budget in hospitals and societies, in the Ministry of Health to create simulators for education, and this is the future, and this is a pity. Now in the United States, they have a problem. They are thinking why somebody is going to be trained with a patient in the first procedures, and this is a problem. So the future goes through the simulators. The problem is how to work on this, because the second point is that this is not research, this is innovation. And for this, you need an infrastructure. Clinicians, we are used to research. We are used to work with numbers, figures, publication, but not with innovation. It's a change of paradigm. We have to incorporate engineers in our teams, and this is the present, for biomedical engineering and for data science, artificial intelligence. And this is the immediate future. United States and UK, they have this very clear because they think innovation, not in investigation. So probably we have to think our way of working in our research universities because all of us have to contribute to that. I suffer that. I was making training more than 15 years, and you realize that I have to create our own models because it's a pity that when the first catheter in a patient, the first catheter in a resident, the resident is happy, my first catheter, and the patient is saying, where are your boss? Your boss is doing a coffee, why you are to put my first catheter here? So in this aspect, the conclusion I think is that probably we have to think, as he says, change the paradigm. We have to work to simulators. All of us, we have to contribute in that. Probably these three spin-off are the example that this is the immediate future, but this is for not only for interventional nephrology, this is for any kind of procedure related with technology. And the future is probably related with artificial intelligence. Virtual reality and augmented reality is the other part of this equation, and this is crucial because all related with 3D printing in surgical approaches now is going to change to virtual reality, because even open surgery, neurosurgery, and so on, they are going to use virtual reality probably in the next future. There are not much companies in the world, but they're very strong. This is changing the paradigm. The question is that they are very technological advances. There are a lot of needed, in the other hand, in the other part of the table of the residents, the trainees, and so on. But it's a huge gap how to transfer this technology to the educational programs. Because this depends to understand the needs by the Ministry of Health and the societies, and second, put the budget. Because if they understand the problem, they will put the budget on the table. So this program unify all this. Have demonstrated that if you want to create the environment, the perfect storm in order to train the residents, you need educational programs based in learning, you need infrastructure, but you need simulators in order the patient be avoided to be touched, and you touch directly the simulators, and in short periods of time, don't train the residents with the patients, use the simulators. And you can demonstrate with this that it works.
So if I got well the point, there are no money to do innovation, but we needed to push in this direction. So we needed, to have better simulation if we want to reduce the risk management. And also because, the new trainees need, to be trained on them. So if I understood well, we needed, to go more in this direction to develop, new simulation centers that should, be more with a more mixed technology, because, the simulator without, artificial intelligence or other tools will not, help in improving, our hands-on training. So, and now there are questions, no curiosities? Yeah, Francesco, please. Yeah, no, we cannot hear you. Francesco was the guy that was showing up in the slides more than anyone else,
I have my teacher. I follow the example. No, it's a suggestion. During the EMPATH project, the animal models are still, there is more realism approaching to the animal models. So a suggestion could be start from the animal models to create these simulators, the mannequins, for example, and then improve the virtual reality, because the virtual reality is still
in its early stage.
yeah. There is an early stage, and this experience could be the starting point to improve the virtual reality. But now maybe the animal model could be the bridge between the reality and this new simulation model.
But what you are suggesting, Francesco, is starting, getting the animal models to develop a better
better mannequins,
and better phantoms, better simulators.
Because
as we were talking together with Roberto Russo, because
sometimes the mannequins is too hard or too soft. Maybe the animal models it's very similar to
I
reality.
have a very quick question for you. You were working, on the phantoms and on the simulators. Helps, or you think that is better don't use it?
As a first approach, for example, a resident on first year, it's better have this first approach on mannequins, on phantom, and then see again the real procedure on patient, and then try to approach the resident himself to cannulate like a jugular vein or femoral vein. But when I try in Sabadell with the Professor Ibes on the chicken model, it's better.
You were feeling better.
Yeah.
If you go on the patient, you will feel more better.
Yes.
Because that, the only problem that you needed first to be trained, and we need a better simulator for this one. Sorry, Jose?
Yes, I totally agree with them. In fact, we put the two models, the synthetic ones and the turkey, because you are training the real anatomy reference. You need how to work the neck. The neck is convexus. You have different locations of the you need a synthetic model, sure. But to be realistic, you need the turkey because you have to feel how progress the needle and the ideal one is when we make it with living pigs. That is really wonderful. You put the jugular, but this is really, really problematic, expensive. And I was going to pass to cadaveric models. But cadaveric models is even worse. So probably the future is this one. So probably the future is, correct me if I'm wrong, is in create the more similar synthetic products to the human
We need
beings.
new materials.
Exactly. And
We
second
needed
one-
to speak with bioengineering. We needed to speak with biotechnologists. For this reason, I was saying at the beginning, we are not the only one. We needed to, work together with also with the engineering, bioengineering, biotechnology. We need new, materials. In the meantime, I think that the cadaveric lab plus the animal models, as Francesco was reporting, should be, more. And this is important for the society, because when you do the course during the Congress, yes, they appreciate, the course because they move hands, but you don't learn. To learn, you need a step forward. So that is only to have an idea how to use the needle, how to do a cannulation. But after, you needed to move in a more high level educational path. So I think that together we needed to develop this kind of school. So the school, because I am a director of residency school, and this is for me an unmet need because they are asking for it. So not always you can get the resident in the surgery room. I do. They know. They come with me. So normally I guide the hand when we do biopsy. We do together, and when you see that the hand is good, you let the residents do it, the renal biopsy. But you need to be the right tutor, otherwise. And I'm watching Carlo when he's do cannulation on if you do an access, a vascular access. So I think that this is what we needed for a brainstorm for the education of the future.
I think that we shouldn't be worried because as we are in the early stage, this is normal. It's artificial intelligence.
Course.
But the future depends on these moments. Because this is the reason we put the two models, because there is no perfect one. The future, in fact, is in uptake technology, in the future, you are trying to develop at the same level the synthetic with the virtual and augmented reality in order to combine that. And this is the future. Everybody is working on that. What are going to be? What are going to see the residents in 10 years? We cannot imagine. And if to this you combine the artificial intelligence and the generative artificial intelligence, you will enter in the room. I will say, I want 1.8 head man of 90 kilograms with these problems, with this pathology created, and it will immediate. And in this context, you have this model. You can create the virtuality model immediately. And in this model, you can train a lot of them, and after that, you put it in synthetic way. This is like molecular analysis in the artificial intelligence to creation of drugs. It's only the same. But all this depends on don't lose the time and make a lot of training, and probably recognize that we have to make a lot of training, losing time, losing money in order to advance. But the idea is work all together, because sometimes by the problems of ego, the research teams will lose a lot of time by process of competition. Sure, innovation is the problem of the intellectual property, the patents, and so on. But we should join together this knowledge in order to advance for the best of the patient.
Well, I agree 100%. I think that this should be, the right way out to go. I'm watching, Tommaso that does, artificial intelligence for the future. And, we needed, to make big teams, because, by ourselves, we don't go anywhere. And, starting from the scratch, going, to the simulator, going on the animal models, for example, looking at Roberto Russo, he's, involved in the PD. We realized that the simulator was okay, was giving a touch, but, now we are moving on the animals, on the pigs, that I think is the best. The only problem that is very expensive. So we needed to find the way how, to simulate better. Maybe as you were reporting, now you can make twins. You make, digital twins, you do digital twins, and after you realize the best prototype, as the new simulators. This will be the future, but we needed also a lot of money. We needed to apply for, European grants or, other kind of funds, to have it. So question? More question on this business aspect? Or otherwise, maybe we should, do you have other question, Jose?
No, I would like to make. We are finishing. We are finishing already.
Well, it's no. We can proceed on this direction.
Okay. Well, I would like to make a reflection just to summarize all that happens here related with the future the impact program and the repercussion of in the market, in the societies, and so on. Well, I think that the secret of this program is that. If we know this is a question of layers, it's like business. We have a needs in the population because the complication of the training is harmful for the patient. Second, in the next layer, we have training for the residents because they have important lack of training. In the third layer, this is the responsibility of who? The hospital, the societies, and the Ministry of Health. And four, if you want to maintain all this, you need funding, you need money. Sometimes the problem is that the different layers, the patients, associations, the residents, the hospital, they say, I don't know how it works. This is difficult. Well, let's wait for the next leader or next generation. We have demonstrated here with this project that it works. And you have the key to demonstrate to everybody you can connect all these layers with any kind of problem. The point is that in the roof, in the top of this are who take the decisions, that are the societies and the Ministry of Health and so on, because these people have to distribute the budget, the money, depending on the priorities. And this is the key point to demonstrate that the impact project has demonstrated that you can redefine the budget distribution towards a different way to teach the residents how to do medicine.
Well, this is a very important point and goes well what is called malpractice. To reduce malpractice, you needed to reduce risk management. To reduce risk management, you needed to teach. To teach, you needed to have the right mentors and the right tools. So I think that we needed to go in this direction. Empath was showing us that we can put together mentors, new tools. They are not perfect. There is space to improve. So we should, go once again this direction because we don't have anything else. But what I learned more from the Empath project, the feeling of the residents. I was listening the heart beating when they were close to me making renal biopsy, or with Roberto Russo in, placing a catheter, when you say, please do it on the real field. That is the way that you do the real training. Once they have passed the first risk management on the phantoms, you will not have for sure the perfect phantom in the next 10 years. So still, once again, when I was a fellow, I was learning watching first. And after getting, the needle, saying, what is the needle? I found the needle. And after I found the needle, I stick the needle. And I was a student at the 5th year at the medical school when I did the first biopsy. Roberto remembered very well when we did it. So that is learning by doing. To do this, you needed the right mentor and teacher close to you that should guide your hand, learning and telling you, you are good in doing, this is your track. You don't have the hands to do vascular access or to become a surgeon, because each of us has his expertise. So we needed, to find a way how to get there. And technology is helping now. I didn't have it when I became a fellow in 1987. We didn't have all this kind of simulator. Now we have it. So it's one step forward, cos'è? And we are improving. And the artificial intelligence will give us more digital twins. We will learn more, in recognizing, the touch. But still, we need also to grow as a mentor, and we needed to be retrained as a mentor, I think. We needed to train the fellow, but also the teacher should be trained. This is my feeling. I've been, in this field for many years, and I think that this is the right way how to go. Do you agree?
Yes, in fact, you have summarized this in one of the slides of Interventional Nephrology Group in the United States. This slide goes to the road path of training in American Society of Diagnostic Interventional Nephrology. And the final part of this slide says, who trains the trainer?
Who trained? That's good.
And
This is a very good point.
Yes, because it's a problem because sometimes educational programs are theoretical, not practical. So the chief of the department had to choose the people who want to train everybody and give the opportunity to have in their hands the best tools to train your guys.
Especially we needed to train the key opinion leader, I think. So almost close to the closing remark, and to thank all the people that attended the meeting. There are from the young generation questions. If there are not any more, I think that we should say again thanks to everybody, all the partners, all the university, all the small and medium enterprises, all the society, the VAS and the ERA. And I hope that the memorandum of understanding will be finalized, because we need to finalize. And our dream is to see again each other in 2 years with better simulators. Maybe Antonio, we will also be able to get again inside of a European program. Why not? You never know. So enjoy your time in Bari. For who of you will spend other hours here in Bari. For who is leaving today, have good trip back. Has been a pleasure for me as a coordinator. It was a great experience. We hope that we can re-challenge the website for the NPAT. We must do it. So maybe this afternoon we can also speak a little bit regarding this point, and see you again in the near future. Thank you very much.